is an evening here as I record this towards the end of the month of January. I'm bringing back this series, New Vinyl in My Life, in a more focused format. Vinyl Absorption. Same idea, just less records, a little more focus. And I've given all of these a lot more time, and I've sort of been present with them for a lot longer. So that's kind of, that's the name of the game. That's kind of what I want to morph this into. I'm going from like anywhere from 8 to 12 records. Of course, today I have about 11 or 12, but 8 to 12 records is where I'll be on these videos. Hopefully I'll do like a couple a month. I definitely have a good amount of records that I've been bringing home. I want to tell everyone, first off, to subscribe to Sound of Minder. These a great channel. He's really just getting going with some videos, and really, you know, there was a bit of a break I think he took, but now he's sort of been focused again, and he's got a really good, diverse sort of listening, really good, diverse sort of taste. And I think if you like this channel, you'll enjoy that channel too. So I'll link to Sound of Minder below. All right, the VC weighs pretty heavily on these, mainly from discussions, influence, and even in these cases, or in a few cases, procurement. First one, this was from the Plastic Oddments Instagram, aka Alex247's handle for shifting records. Fôrça Bruta, legendary 1970 record from Jorge Ben, or Jorge Ben. And this is his breakthrough LP in the Brazil, of course he's Brazilian. This is a Brazilian record, if you didn't know. It's a pretty famous album. Nice, pretty solid copy on the Philips label. This one is sort of renowned for his really taking a more laid-back approach, a sort of more mellow, you'd call it, style, but it really sort of brings in the samba. And he collaborates and records with the group, where is it here? Trio Macabre, which is a trio, and who would go on to release their own records. But they recorded this like late at night, very much unrehearsed. You know, they didn't really fuss over the arrangements all too much. Really kind of let the music do the talking, and as a result, it has a very loose and freewheeling spirit. The songs just they just feel very very real. Jorge Ben, I gotta get that straight. Jorge Ben. My Portuguese is non-existent, but this record would, you know, make him a superstar essentially. He would work with those guys again, and that group would have more success as well. But there's so many, the whole thing, all of the songs are so good. They just feel so real, as I said. I really like the lead track on this quite a bit, and it's from I believe it's, as with any original Brazilian pressing, they always usually have the year right on it, 1970. And yeah, there is a little bit of unrest at the time. The Brazil, I believe, was sort of being led by a dictator, and so there's definitely, you know, the tropicalia movement and Ben and Os Mutantes and Juggernaut, they were very much revolutionaries in many ways, and you know, threatened in some sense. So this album has a bit of that in there too, but there's also a lot of spirituality, sort of love, and he's really, you know, speaking from the heart on this record, and it comes through on it. So I don't know how many of you out there know this record or have this record. It's certainly pretty well known even for American audiences, European audiences. So Fôrça Bruta, Jorge Ben, original Brazilian pressing. Thank you, Alex.
Estou de olho nela. A noite é linda e ela mais ainda, todinha de rosa, mais linda.
This next one was a French guitar duo record, which appeals to me for my love of American primitive music. Get that sleeve out of here. And by the way, I will tell you what we're listening to when we get to it. Some of you will know what it is. This is Guitar Dérive. Guitar Dérive. On the Shandar label, 1976. And it's the duo Vincent Masne and Bertrand Porquet. I believe Vincent Masne, I don't have the group in front of me, but he would go on to sort of be in like a heavy orchestral sort of jazz rock group a few years later. But this is a unique duo record. They're both playing off each other, and it's completely instrumental. And at times it sort of feels as though you're listening to a bit of a postmodern classical record, but they really hit on some notes where they hit some atonal, some real harsh chords, tritones perhaps even. This is these Shandar labels, I showed it, but one and only pressing, never been repressed. There's a CD that came out in the 2000s but never been repressed on vinyl. This was one, I don't honestly remember. Was this a Fred Big Star recommendation? It could have been. Maybe even Chris Cole, who I'll talk about in a second. But this was really hit the spot. I love when records kind of, you get a sense and a feel that it's going to sort of be a certain way, and then it slowly morphs into this other thing. So this one has these moments where it's sort of beautiful and languid, and then it sort of goes into like darker territories where the guitars kind of, are at odds with each other. And it just takes you on a bit of a journey without there being, lyrics or vocals to sort of spell it out for you, which I love. Guitars Dérive, Bertrand Porquet et Vincent Masne. Bertrand Porquet et Vincent Masne. Guitars Dérive. Just 3 tracks on this. Recorded in France, 1976. Jazz record, a pretty cheap one too, about a $15 album, and it's on the Indian Navigation label. I remember Stunty talking about how you could still find cheap stuff on Indian Navigation, and I wasn't sure, but it's true, you can, and some of them haven't really checked out for me. This one does. Anthony Davis and the James Newton Quartet. James Newton, I've been collecting off and on some of his records. Mostly they're cheap. There's one rare one that I have a reissue of, flute music, but this is Davis, the piano player, flautist, Newton with special guest trombonist George Lewis. So a cool piece here. You also have Rick Rosie on bass and Firon Aklaf on the drums. This is from 1979. Nice silhouette there. It's a free record, but I always like the Indian Navigation labels. Hidden Voices is the title. This is maybe a good one for people sort of turned off by free music or free jazz. It walks the line. I've talked about that a fair amount. I have a lot of records I feel like that are good. They're not easy listening by any stretch, or classic or hard bop, but there's a warmth to this. You know what I mean? Anthony Davis' piano is mainly he's taking center stage, and Newton's flute is sort of like the supporting cast with George Lewis sort of bopping away there. It's 2 compositions by Newton and 3 by Anthony Davis. Not a lot of information on this one. I was trying to look up some other notes on it. Just a cool session. The Indian Navigation label. Lots of curious records on that label, James Newton, like I said, does have more records that go into sort of a new age territory. This one is not quite that at all. Good free, little spiritual as well session here. Hidden Voices, Anthony Davis, James Newton Quartet with George Lewis. And now here is me opening a 54-year-old record that was sealed.
Domenica, 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 toda minha tristeza se acaba e minha alegria começa em você. Domenica, bendita mulher, eu te amo, eu te acredito, eu gosto muito de você. Domenica, 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 eu vou para a Domenica. Em homenagem ao anjo e a maravilha que ela é. Domenica.
And here it is, Kain the Blue Guerrilla. It is still in the original shrink. Here's the original label, which is a private label, only record on this label. I'm guessing he self-financed it from The Last Poets. Ghilan Kain, the brainchild behind the Third World Movement. Kain is a genius and innovator, the power behind The Last Poets. And the Blue Guerrilla is an extension along these lines. Now, this is not a record you can play in store if you work at a record store and you want to play a record like that. I made that mistake of playing Gil Scott-Heron's first record, the live 125th Street record, which is, look, it's not really offensive. I just think it's a form of expression, but he's using the N-word quite a bit, and there it is. And that is certainly happening on this one. This is an intense, pretty angry record from Kain. Certainly speaking his truth. It's furious, but the cool thing is the jazz rock and sort of like jazz funk that's on this record. 1970, there's tons of swearing on this, so this was obviously not going to be financed by a major label. So yeah, there's a whole bit on the back here. I won't get into that too much, but no musicians are credited. Apparently Nile Rodgers was credited, though. Where did I see it? Was somewhere when I was doing research on this. Nile Rodgers, later, well-known as an arranger, working with Prince, he may have been playing on this, but he's credited with arrangements. But it's a bit of free jazz, funk, a little bit of soul. It's intense. It's very intense. If you like the Last Poet stuff, I want to hear something, a little more sort of in your face, I guess we'll call it. Kain's the Blue Guerrilla. I think Chris Cole even mentioned this to me at some point. Great cover, and it was kind of cheap, but I got this on an offer, sealed, for a pretty good price, about $35. So I went for it. Wait this one out. If you're curious, you can find it.
Life ain't nothing but a river, just moving through an empty hand. I said life ain't nothing but a river, moving through an empty hand. You can hold on if you wanna, but Lord, when the truth is the fan, smack dab in the 20th century, machine guns on every block.
Speaking of Chris Cole, Ravi Shankar, a great one. I only have a few Ravis. This is Transmigration Macabre on the Spark label, kind of a budget label, but this thing is not budget. Now, I know Fred showed this, and maybe Chris even saw me saying I really wanted to check it out, because he included it in that box of ECLT he sent me, which I'm still going through. Man, this was so good. It's not just your standard ragas at all. In fact, side 2 is a whole nother beast in itself. It's all just different moods: death, transmigration, retribution, reflection, madness, fantasy, anxiety, torment, and submission. And Shankar is working here with Alaraka and Kamala Chakravarti and the Les Structures Sonore. Les Structures Sonore. I meant to look them up, but someone will enlighten me. But this was a cool one. So it was supposed to be part of a British film, Viola, which tells the tale of a victory of a possessed man's belief that his dead wife has returned to life in the form of a cat that pursues him. The music traces his emotional turmoil as the man dominated by his wife during her lifetime struggles against her baneful influence after her death. This was great. Great inclusion, Chris. I love this. And I knew I would. You know, Fred wouldn't steer me wrong, nor would Chris, so great one there. Here's one. Gonna get into some German stuff. I'm showing these both at the same time, but I'm gonna really focus on one of them. Klaus of Ice. These are reissues, first time on vinyl, that were originally cassettes, from the early 80s. Stunty showed this on his earliest stream last week. I'd already had it. This is Maraccaba from 82, and this is ambient music, but without synthesizers. And as I said, this has never been on vinyl before. This is on the Eargong label. And this is great. And this one's available. But I really want to put this one. Baraka. His first actual solo album. Now, Klaus Weiss, W-I-E-S-E, is not the same as W-E-I-S-E, the German jazz funk musician. He was was a early new age sort of composer. Played on 2 Popol Vuh records, percussion. And I love this. This is a lenticular. Now this is on the Black Sweat label. Great label. It's done like the Ariel Kama reissues. And in 1981 he made this album. Released originally on a tiny label called Aquamarine Verlag. And you can see here, this is everything he plays, and he also says here, no synthesizers. And this thing is incredible. This is top shelf ambient music. I mean, he's doing natural voice, Tibetan singing bowls, wind, cymbals, kind of a zither called the sither, and tamburas. And as always, he says no synthesizers. He does work with Jenner Zimmerman and Amarish, who also did the cover design. And apparently this is now gone, but have a look at any retailers that you might know in the US, see if you can find it. This was super special. I mean, he's clearly putting all these things through effects, okay? So they're treated, but I mean, you can hear that it's singing bowls and you can hear the tamburo, but it's just so spacious and beautiful. And I prefer Baraka a little more because the Maraccaba is beautiful and it's a little more even. This one kind of feels a little more like there's lots of stuff going on, but still is an ambient record by nature. A wonderfully special album. I'm going to be looking at. Hopefully they'll be reissuing more of his cassettes. It looks like they will, because he was not really releasing vinyl. So I did an Instagram post about this too, which you can look at. My Instagram is Seeking a Thread. This came out last year, I guess. This is an all-time favorite record right here, Baraka, and the Maraccaba, which is gettable. I highly recommend getting to. So that leads nicely into the first Popol Vuh album, Affenstunde, which Klaus Weiss was not on yet. Klaus Weiss was on Hosanna Mantra and the other one around that time. So it wasn't on this, but this is the first one. This is also from Plastic Omens. Original German pressing. This one I saw, I just had to jump because I had already been looking for it. This is definitely them. Early on, he was really not quite. Florian Frick, the founder of Popol Vuh, was really kind of doing more, synthesis music, ambient music. Later on, he would sort of get into more of the ethnic percussion and sort of bringing in that whole thing, that side of things, to the soundtracks. And this does feature just mostly the trio: Florian Frick, Moog synth, Holger Trusch percussion, Frank Fielder synthesizer and mixdown. That's basically it. There's a ton of space and quiet to this record, but you have like found sound and nature sounds in it, and it's a great starting point. Popol Vuh, I know it maybe isn't everyone's favorite, but for me it's incredible. It's exceptional. 1970 on the Liberty label. I now have three records that are in the early run, so I've sold my box set. It's already gone. I'll have to tell a story about what happened with that box set. The volume 1 of the Popol Vuh box set. Anyway, I was super glad to get this. This is great, man. This is more ambient music before ambient music was really a thing. I talked about that. Guitar ambient. This kind of would work in that sort of realm. Nice shape. Apparently Alex upgraded his copy of this, so this is a pretty nice copy. So he must have a cleanly one. There it is. I'm going to flip the record, and then I'll tell you what the record is in a second. Another record that Chris Cole sent to me in his box of ECLT, the second Mythos album. This is a French original pressing on the Cosmic Courier label. Beautiful labels there. Cosmic Music. Mythos is essentially the project of Stefan Kask, flute and synths, and guitars. Robbie Luiziga, bass, acoustic guitar, mellotron, and Hans-Jürgen Putz, percussion and Moog drum. Now the vocals on this are not my favorite, and I had the earlier Mythos album, the first one. This is the second. I sold that, not because I didn't like it, just because I needed to find something with some serious heft to it. So I let that one go, and now here we go. Chris brings me back into the Mythos fold with Dream Lab. The flutes on this are spacious and beautiful. This certainly is bringing itself into the more of the ambient sphere, like the Popol Vuh record. And as I said, this is the French press. Nice cover. Dedicated to Werner von Braun. Good band. This is a solid band. I probably wouldn't be following them past this much, but I love the arrangements, the acoustics that come in. Like I said, the flute. It's the vocals that threw me a little bit off, but instrumentally, this thing's wicked. It's super good. Very cosmic. Dream Lab. That's from 1975. I think it's on Ohr in Germany, I believe, if I have that right. Thank you, Chris. This is spectacular. And the record we're listening to, the second album that came about 8-10 years later, from Futuro Antico, Dai Primitivi all'Elettronica. The German artist meeting the Eastern influence, but it's really a collaboration between the two. Victor Meoli, I won't read this in Italian, I won't do it. Walter Meoli, Riccardo Sinigalia, right? And Gabin Dabir. Gavin Dabire. And there's a whole host of different instruments they're playing. As you can see, it creates a beautiful mix. I love the first album, self-titled, which was a cassette. And this one I just hadn't pulled it out in a long time. There they are. There's the trio. And I was saying on Instagram, like, I pulled this out to play thinking, oh yeah, that's right, this is the first time reissue of this. No, there was the original pressing from 1990 when it came out, which I totally rookie move. That's pretty lame. So I'm gonna have to find that. But until now, I do have this this second album reissue, and it's stunning, as you've been hearing this whole video. You can get this still. Futuro Antico. The first one is great too. I definitely recommend that. That's self-titled. This is Black Sweat, just like the Klaus Weiss. So definitely don't sleep on these. They were gone initially, and then they repressed them. Really love it. It's a cool mix. It's a mix that works. Ethno and ambient music. Here's another new release. Well, not another, but a new release. Although this band actually goes back about 12 years, and this one, Alex, he recommended this to me based on my interest in, experimental folk music, and this is the Basque, the Spanish, I guess it's a duo, Carcascara. Yeah. Comes with a postcard with, I had to look it up on Discog. I couldn't really read any of this, but it's number 2. They had a first album from like 2006, so this is, they've been around, and this was recorded in 2014 but just released. And I got this from the Canadian, I don't know if it's in the US right now, but I got this from the Canadian website Seance Center. Great label and big time purveyor of dead stock records. Anyway, this is a UK and Spanish collaboration from the Basque region. This is the second pressing. This is already a second pressing of this. It certainly calls to mind some more modern folk music like Jose Gonzalez, Junip, but it's way more experimental and sort of free-flowing, I like to say. A lot of nylon string, guitar, field recordings, and it's just a simple sleeve. Just to fold over with this sort of like textured cover, but serious warmth to this, and just a beautiful Sunday morning record. If you're, waking up, put this one on. Just a lot of cool use of unison with the guitars that they do. It's hard to read all the different instruments, but it's kind of similar to the Futuro Antico without the electronic sort of thing, bringing in like a wide array of different instrumentation. It's subtle too, and there's one vocal track that's mostly an instrumental affair. Just a beautiful one that's going to lull you into a good space. I highly recommend this. I'm going to put samples in. I hope you like this. This was a great recommendation. Alex knows what he's talking about. Carcascara from Spain. I don't have the main artist in front, but you can find it. From the Basque region of Spain. Number 2, Carcascara. This is Fôrça with Randall Neiman. This is a mid-90s compilation of singles out of Minneapolis, I believe, and a collaborator with Wendy and Carl, which is why you can imagine I was interested. This was great. These are the singles, which I have actually one of them, but these are the singles that are compiled here, and this is lo-fi, space rock, psychedelic rock, all on 45 RPM too. It's a little bit sort of got a mid-90s thing going on in terms of its feel, but instrumental, very much a space rock sort of feel too, but there's like a bit of a Spaceman 3 influence, I'd say, and there's but definitely more of a electronic thing that he's doing too. There's synthesizers going on here. It is just, I guess it's just self-titled. No, 3-field rotation, compilation of singles by Fôrça. I'm looking for some other Fôrça records. We'll get into those another time. Good original pressing from mid-90s. 96, I think this was. 1996 on the Che label. Oak Park, Michigan. Just want to see if, Randall Neiman's playing guitar, Moogs, drums, and unexplained transmissions. Ryan Anderson, drums, Moogs, and space bass. But 45 RPM. And this last one is a new artist. Brand new to me. Probably most of you out of Asheville, North Carolina. A place I'm hoping to visit soon. Recently got some acclaim by doing a small leg of a tour with Animal Collective, and Dave Portner, aka A.V. Terror, has helped out on some of the records. They're called Sham, Machine Simple. This is their first vinyl record, but they've done a few tapes and CDs. Man, I love this band. It really, they take a kind of feel to like what the Microphones did, like the folky sides of Animal Collective, Dirty Projectors, Simple Labels, but there's a whole tale of them. But it's also it's kind of like an Elephant Six meets Microphones. It has that sort of like, communal sort of collaborative effort. They recorded all this themselves. It's mainly this guy Shane Justice McCord with Mikey Powers, and then a bunch of different collaborators. A lot of woodwinds on this, clarinet, saxophone, flutes. There's samples, prepared guitar. Like, it's a really cool immersion of like experimentation, but still feeling like it's not like it's not an experimental record. It's I guess it's, Mazzy loves to say freak folk. Yeah, I guess it's kind of that. I wouldn't say that, but great artwork. I actually ordered the tape and the CD. I want to hear more of them. You can stream them all on their Bandcamp. They're not even on Discogs, actually. I should probably enter this. But this is from November. This would have made my list for the best of the year if I had heard it. Sham. You're going to love this if you like the vocal, I'd say. If you don't like the vocal, it's not too weird. Not too sort of annoying, but he's got a certain sort of way around words. But it's kind of like these songs that are put together and rehearsed and recorded that it doesn't feel like it feels like they improvise everything in the moment. Like, it just feels like anything could happen around any corner. Like, they're really good players too. They really are creative in what they're doing and where they go with what they do. And I love all the use of clarinet and everything. Like I said, it's that spirit of home recording experimentation with a bit of the microphone type vocal, and there's definitely a Dave Longstretch Dirty Projector sort of feel to what he's doing. I'll put in a sample of my favorite song, which I believe was Horizontal Comfort. This is on Feeding Tube, actually, mostly on their own label, but this one's on Feeding Tube. Big time, the big time. Sham Simple Machine, or Machine Simple.
Beside dark prong, your anatomy protrudes out soft fabric, and you among harmony and woodland thrush croon, asking if I like Chicago or the warmth of the winter. I sat in the thick of the shade, reshaping that piece I had been sculpting.
And that's it for this vinyl absorption. Let's see if I can make that tag stick. And the next one I'll try to keep it a little bit shorter, but I'm getting there. We're getting there. I'm trying to keep it at 25 to 30 minutes. I appreciate everyone who enjoyed my collection thing. That was very long, but I kind of didn't care. I wanted it to sort of feel like a whole, like you were basically seeing me what I did for the last month, all of my January there, putting together everything, filing everything, listening to stuff, like coming to terms with things. I kind of wanted all that to come together into a big long video, and I figure if you can sit down and stream for 3, 7, 24 hours, you can watch me ramble on about my collection for 54 minutes. Anyway, I'll talk to you next time.